Talking about what your priorities are is one thing, but you have to actually be following them and then having those reflected on your calendar. Welcome to the Daring Living podcast, where it's all about personal growth, honest conversations, and exploring what it means to live a passionate, daring life. I'm your host, Shirley Huang. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of the Daring Living podcast. I am quite excited to discuss this week's topic with you. So I got a few requests asking me to talk about time management and how to better balance your life better. So at first when I heard this, I was a little bit resistant to this because, okay, let's be honest, I am still trying to figure this out myself. The truth is that I do have a lot on my plate right now. And I think every week right now, I'm still testing out and making changes to my schedule in a way that I can improve how I use my time even more. But then, after I got asked this question, I really sat down and looked at my own schedule, and I compared my schedule to my schedule maybe about 6 months ago. And I realized that there really is a big shift in how I organize my time compared to 6 months ago. So today, I want to offer you a new perspective into looking at time management and how to better manage your time. Okay, so here's the thing. We all get the same 24 hours a day and the same 7 days a week. However, because we're living in such a high-paced digital era, we feel like we should keep up to date to almost everything. We get huge FOMOs for missing out on social events and on gatherings, and somehow we're expected to excel in our jobs, learn new skills, focus on yourself, focus on your personal development, maintaining a great body, a good fitness routine, and having good health. We are expected to nurture our relationships with our friends, our significant other, our families, all while maintaining a social life. So that is a lot to juggle. Have you heard of the saying that if you want to be good at everything, you will end up being good at nothing? So the truth is, we really are just not that good at multitasking. If you want to focus on everything and be able to balance and excel in all areas in your life, you will end up focusing on nothing. And that is just the reality. So instead of asking yourself, how can I better manage my time? Maybe the question that you should actually ask is, what are my priorities right now? What are my priorities right now? Rather than thinking about how you can manage your time better and how you can balance everything in your life, I think it's really about knowing what your priorities are right now and then actually implementing that into your life. So if you have time right now, I would recommend you to just take a pause right now and then really brainstorm and think about 3 most important areas in your life. If you're on the go, that's okay. You can just come back to it later. But if you have the time, pause this podcast right now and just act on it. Take out a piece of paper and then brainstorm 3 most important areas in your life. What are 3 important areas in your life that you need to focus on? Some categories that you can think about include family, friends, career, health and fitness, relationship with your partner, personal learning, self-care, traveling, or even just having fun. And you can make this even more clear by actually ranking these areas from the most important to the least important. Okay, do you have it? You have the 3 priorities in your ranking right now? Now, the next step is to actually implement these priorities. So look at your calendar right now. These 3 priorities, they should really be reflected on your schedule. Talking about what your priorities are is one thing, but you have to actually be following them and then having those reflected on your calendar. I remember when I first started my blog about almost a year ago, I was telling myself, okay, sure, you are going to really commit to this blog and to put in the effort and to grow it and to make this happen. But then when I look back at my calendar about a year ago, it was full of dinners out with friends, movie nights, and just a lot of random activities. And it's so funny because I think during that time, I was really struggling to manage my time and I didn't know how to manage my time properly. But the truth is that I really just did not follow through with what my priorities are and actually implementing them into my calendar. No wonder I was struggling to quote-unquote manage my time. So I just really want to get my message clear. I'm not saying that you can't have fun or anything like that. I'm just saying that you need to be really honest with yourself and to really determine what it is that is important to you right now. What do you value right now at this moment? So if you think that having fun and going out with friends in your life right now, that is one of your priorities, then by all means, add them into your calendar, right? To be even more precise about my priorities, I will actually give each category a percentage of how much I want to focus on for that area in my life. So for example, right now I am really focused on 2 areas in my life: career and personal development. So I give my career about 50%, my personal development about 40%, and the rest of the 10%, it goes to self-care. So you want to make sure that your top 3 or 4 priorities, they add up to 100. So I use the Gcal, the Google Calendar, and I actually color-coded each category and then add those items into my week. And I really make sure that the proportion of the colors each week, they actually reflect my priorities right now. I know I am a nerd this way, but yes, this is what I do. And I also just want to emphasize that your schedule is going to look very different compared to maybe your peers, and that is okay because that just means that we each have different priorities, right? Right now, someone can look at my schedule and point out that I don't have a social life, and I will say, yes, you are correct. And that person might say that I need to have more work-life balance. But to me, I know very well right now, I do feel satisfied with my schedule because it's reflective of what my priorities are at this moment, at this stage in my life. Remember that you're not trying to create a schedule according to what the society wants you to do or what your peers expect you to do. You need to have clarity about what your priorities are and make sure those categories are reflected on your weekly calendar and that you feel aligned with everything that's on your schedule. That is all that matters. I would encourage you to take a look at your calendar right now and ask yourself these questions. What do I need to add in more of? What do I need to do less of? And this question is my favorite. What can be deleted entirely from my calendar right now? What really is just not necessary for me to spend the time and energy on it? You might be thinking, okay, sure, that is a lot of sacrifice. And my answer for that would be, again, it's not really sacrificing because you are simply implementing what your priorities are, unless you're not being honest with what your priorities are, right? You are simply implementing that and then aligning yourself to what is important to you. In fact, by doing this, you will learn to manage your time better and even feel less overwhelmed because you're actually doing and following through with the things that are actually important to you. And because you know what your priorities are, it's also so much easier for you to justify making your decisions on how you should use your time and how you should plan out your week. So again, having this clarity, it will really help you to take back that control and really design your schedule in a way that aligns with your values and what is important to you right now. So in summary, here are the things that we covered in this episode. Instead of asking, how can I better manage my time? Try asking yourself, what are my priorities right now? Then set out to follow these 4 steps to implement your priorities. Step 1 is to identify 3 of your top priorities. Step 2 is to rank them from the most important to the least important. And then give each category a percentage of how much you want to focus on them each week. And the last step is to add those items into your calendar and then color code each category to make sure that the color proportion is reflective of the percentage that you want to focus on. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense to you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as I did because I don't know, I'm just a huge nerd in planning. I love you all so much. Have an amazing week and I will see you next time. Bye bye.